person as the target of someone picking on. I'm going to close out the S camp, and then we'll let Michael take it home to represent the Moritzes. So Alli made the mistake of allowing me to speak. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know that I was going to get this opportunity until last night. So I've written a bit of a weird speech, but I'm not going to try to give a rundown of their lives and everything, because we've had that amazing speech from Dad and from Sam. So I'm just going to try to give some of my own little observations. So I've written a little thing. Sure. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here. Sorry, that was a different... So first I want to start with a little introduction. English teacher be proud. So I like to consider myself a witty person. You know, I've always been good at conversation, presenting a point, or trying to make it seem like I knew what I was talking about, or I've always been confident in my own opinions, my abilities, but throughout all my life, these assertions I've made about myself have had a constant predator, and that's Alli. Always. Even anytime I feel really confident or cocky, she was brilliant at just destroying my point. I think I'm a better arguer for it, for better or for worse. And I fear that since Alli's moved out, my ego has gone out of check. It's like a bunch of fish when a bunch of fishermen stop fishing for a while. It's just overpopulated. And the few visits we have with Alli, nowadays, so too few, are just not enough to control the population. So I'm going to move on from this ecology metaphor that was definitely planned. So I've known Alli for nearly my entire life. She's one of, I lose track. It's been a long time. Okay? She's one of the most wonderful, caring, and loving people I've ever known. But one quality has always stood out to me the most about this, and all of these qualities I mentioned share this in common. She's fierce. She's so fierce. It's taken many forms. You see, I was I was an annoying child, to say the least. Some of Alli's friends who are here might remember, I was a pain. Huge pain, right? And it would be an understatement to say that my constant antics might have caused her some embarrassment, maybe in public, in front of her friends, or just to herself. Just annoyed her. She was always very quick to respond. Immediate quick to respond, and she scared me a bit. But really, she cared. She cared about me, and she didn't want me to embarrass myself. Of course, this caring was extremely fierce and scared the hell out of me sometimes. But my mind shudders to imagine the fate of any poor souls who try to do anything similar to me. Especially on her watch. She is so caring. I wanted to protect me in almost every way, from general physical harm to fashion, or to protecting me from watching too much TV, particularly when she wanted to at the same time. She was very quick to stamp out those bad habits. And now as for fashion, which I mentioned, I've had a lot of advice from my sister, regardless of whether or not I wanted it. But no matter what, she's always there to give her judgment, advice. Like, I think green on a different shade of green is amazing, and you can't tell me otherwise. I might say right now, she did let me wear my mismatched socks. I'm wearing black dress socks like a loser. So, at a time, so Alli and I think, are in some ways too similar to have gotten along very well a lot when we were both younger. But at that time, I think I often, in the times we clashed, I overlooked how deeply Alli loved me and cared for me, and still cares, I hope. And I want to say thank you for loving me and caring me so much. It's incredible, and I'm so lucky to have a sister like you. And I think your influence has been very important in shaping my worldview. Definitely kept me from getting too cocky. So, I want to close my Alli section with saying that Alli might be hard to handle sometimes, but she will love you harder than anybody else. So I want to say to Alli, you're supposed to say to Alli. Thank you. Now, let's get to Chris. So this wedding has made me so happy for so many different reasons. One of which is I finally, thanks to this union, I seem to have somewhat of a brother I never had. Michael! I wasn't sure that joke was going to land. But hey, it worked out, so we're going to keep moving on. So, about Chris, about this guy. Chris, the first time I met Chris, I think it was at Auburn. I may be mixing it up in my head. But we talked for a while, and afterwards I remarked to my family, you know, I like him. He's got a good sized head. After the last 4 years of experience, I can say I was definitely right. I mean, look at that beauty. Really? That's that funny? That's dying. So, I must say, I was confused at first. Chris seems so mellow and neutral compared to Alli. Of course, maybe that's something to do with the fact that my dad kept shooting him looks across the table. But over time, I realized something. And all the times we talked, and I really, truly understood it completely when I had the opportunity to go to the bachelor party with you, Michael. And Chris and Michael, you two just went back and forth about labor politics and all this random stuff, and these like defined views, and disagreeing, but finding all these different bits to agree on, different things to debate, moving from this point to that point while maintaining this original idea. And I realized you're a natural at debating and arguing, and you love it. And I realized, oh, of course. That's it. I figured it out. So it makes sense that in my limited experience regarding relationships and knowledge, I think you all have one of the most important connections that a couple can have. You're both incredible at talking to each other. And when you can talk to each other about anything and have a good time, it doesn't matter how good or bad things are, you can still have fun as a couple. And on this note, I want to close with a direct address to Chris. I've clashed with Alli so many times, and I've so rarely come out on top. In fact, even when I did come out on top, Alli still managed to win. I could never match wits with Alli, and I've given up on the prospect. But I've been given hope. Carry on the fight, Chris.